So can you able to hear me now properly? Okay, there. So many of you have given that it is audible clearly. Okay. So in the previous lecture, we have seen about momentum theory for hovering, right? So for helicopter hovering condition, we have seen what is the momentum theory. So the main agenda of momentum theory is to calculate the thrust required and power required for doing each phase. Okay. So as I told earlier, momentum theory will give you the approximate value. It won't provide you the accurate value. Okay. Just like for a better understanding. Okay. So for a better understanding how the thrust will be calculated and how the power required will be calculated. So that will be provided. Okay. So just in this lecture, we are going to see the continuation of momentum theory for hovering as well as with respect to the momentum theory for vertical climb. Okay, right. So let me, as I have told, the reference was taken with respect to basic helicopter aerodynamics, John Senner, and Willy publications. So this is used for educational purpose only. So we have already shared that book with you guys. So the e-copy is with you guys. So you can refer in the group itself. Okay. So non-dimensionalization. So everyone knows that what is meant by non-dimensional number, right? So the same will be applicable over here also for our induced velocity as well as power and thrust also. Okay. So non-dimensionalization of forces and velocity. Okay. So in accessing the rotor performance and the ability to compare the calculations of different rotors, non-dimensional quantities are required. Okay. So suppose if I'm having a diff of rotors, right? So in order to avoid the confusion between induced velocity and tip rotor speed, so in order to avoid the confusion, we are having a single term called induced velocity, non-dimensional induced velocity. Okay. So lambda is the non-dimensional induced velocity, whereas Vi indicates that induced velocity. Okay. So divided by Vt. Vt is rotor tip speed. Okay. So Vt is rotor tip speed, and whereas Va is induced velocity. Okay. So with this we will start the session. So kindly remember we have a non-dimensional number of induced velocity, that is given by velocity of the induced divided by tip rotor speed. Okay, so meter per second will get cancelled. So the number will be called as non-dimensional number. Okay, so non-dimensional induced velocity. It is the ratio between the induced velocity and tip speed. Okay, rotor tip speed. Okay. So the same manner it will be done for coefficient of thrust also, and as well as coefficient of power also. Okay, so we have to calculate the coefficient of thrust and coefficient of power. Okay, so in coefficient of thrust, we know we already have learned that. So coefficient of thrust will be given by thrust force divided by half V square into area. Okay, reference area. So here the is with respect to pi r square. So pi r square is nothing but rotor disk area. Suppose if you see from the top view, right? Suppose if you see from the top view, so the aircraft rotor disk, right? So it will be a circular in pattern. Let's say, I hope you can see the circle, right? So suppose, so suppose I am drawing a small circle in the middle. Okay, so from where the blades are connected. So let's say three blade rotor. Okay. So the rotor will be having a radius of, blade is having a radius of r, let's say. Okay. So from the top view, so the rotor disk area will be given as pi r square. Okay. So the thrust is produced from the rotor disk. If it is a hovering condition and in the climb condition, it will be acting upward. Okay. So the reference area is taken from the rotor disk area itself. So A indicates that pi r square. Okay, since it is a circular and with the radius of r. Okay, right. So coefficient of thrust is given by thrust divided by half rho v square t. V square t is tip rotor speed. So tip speed. Okay. So I will draw once again that top view. Right. So our blade will be from here. So tip speed. So this has to be straight. Okay. So this line has to be straight. So tip speed. This is Vt. Okay. So the rotor will be rotating in that axis itself. Okay. So tip speed, with respect to tip speed, the thrust force is given. Okay. So in the previous hovering condition, we have seen that Vi, right? The final equation which we have got is induced velocity is equal to square root of T thrust by 2 rho A. Okay. So we have now normalized, that is non-dimensionalized with respect to Vi and Vt, right? Also we have calculated the coefficient of thrust. Okay. So if you substitute all those values, let's say if from this equation I'm calculating the Vt, so Vt is equal to Vi by lambda I, right? So then I am substituting this Vt value in the coefficient of thrust, right? In the coefficient of thrust, then I can calculate the lambda. Okay. So I request all of you to calculate that right now itself using these three equations. So Vi already we know square root of 1 by 2 rho into square root of T by A, that is whole square. Okay. So the next equation which we have seen in the previous slide, that is non-dimensional induced velocity. It is given with respect to Vi divided by Vt. So coefficient of thrust, we already know that thrust divided by half rho Vt square into area, right? Rotor disk area. So substituting the values. So I request all of you to substitute the value and kindly put it in the chat box whether the equation which we have mentioned in the last equation it is correct or not. So kindly use this three equation. So Vi is given, substitute in the lambda I. So non-dimensional number you will be having. So substitute that lambda I or Vt, right? So Vt in the coefficient of thrust. So finally we will be getting the value of Ct is equal to 4 lambda square. So kindly everyone substitute the value and give answer in the chat box. At least one or two. I'll be waiting for you guys. So kindly substitute those values and give it in the chat box. Give the comment in the chat whether we are getting that answer or not. One is calculating or not? Just substitute this three equation here and you will be finding. So kindly answer the poll at least. Kindly respond to the question. Till now, 27 people didn't respond. Amir Fayaz, kindly calculate that coefficient of thrust, whether you are getting the answer correctly or not. Anubhav Gupta, Anuj Kumar Singh, Ashita Prita, Bhupinder Kumar, Dalveer Singh, Himanshu Chauhan, Jayashree, Bhaumik, Gauswami, Rajvansh, Sanjay Garg, kindly answer for the question. Subham, Vashireddy, Virinder Pal Singh, Yash Raj. So many of you have given that yes, and other category also they have given no. So just you have to see this equation which I am showing over here, right? This we have got in the last class itself. Momentum theory. With momentum theory in the hovering condition, we have got this equation Vi. Okay, induced velocity. So for non-dimensionalizing, so we have non-dimensional inflow, that is Vi divided by Vt. Okay, tip speed. So this is induced velocity and this is tip speed. So thrust, everyone knows, right? Coefficient of thrust. Thrust is a force, right? So as like we have defined for lift. So CL is equal to L by half rho V square S. S is area, right? So same here we have given for thrust. Coefficient of thrust is equal to thrust divided by half rho Vt square, right? Vt square into area. Here area is with respect to disk area, that is pi r square. Okay. So lambda A, just we have to substitute those values, known values. Okay. Either we can calculate Vt from here and we can substitute over here. So Vi is already calculated. So if we cross check each parameters, we will be getting the Ct is equal to 4 lambda I square. Okay. So that is the coefficient of thrust. Okay. So coefficient of thrust during hovering only. We have not entered for vertical climb. I am just speaking for the hovering condition only till now. Okay. Right. So what that indicates for a particular the non-dimensional, right? Non-dimensional inflow. If we are having the 4 times of the square of inflow, then the thrust will be very much efficient to hover the helicopter. Okay. So the tip speed will be, let's consider that tip speed will be like omega r, right? It will be with angular velocity. Okay. And induced velocity will be there, right? So the ratio between the induced velocity and the tip speed will be given as lambda I, right? So the coefficient of thrust required for hovering the helicopter, it has to be 4 times the square of lambda I. Okay, so that's what it is indicating. So the induced power coefficient, so we have calculated the thrust required for hovering. So the remaining is, so induced power coefficient, right? So coefficient, it is again the non-dimensionalized number. So it's also normalized. So Cp is given with respect to Pi, that is power, divided by half rho Vt cube into A. Okay. So what is this Vt cube indicates? We know that mechanical power is given with respect to power is equal to thrust into velocity, force into velocity, right? V. So here our velocity is taken with respect to the tip speed. So that's why Vt. So thrust is given by half rho V square area. Okay. So that's why it is when we are substituting, it will be coming VTQ. Okay. So the power here for normalization, it is given with respect to half rho VTQ into area. Okay. Right. So that's why the same is indicated here. Power is equal to thrust into velocity, right? So the velocity is given with respect to here. Okay. So the same manner, if we are speaking about coefficient of pressure, right? So we can convert the same pressure formula as coefficient of pressure is equal to coefficient of thrust into normalized induced flow. That is lambda I. Instead of Vi, we are using lambda I. Instead of thrust, we are using coefficient of thrust. Instead of power, we are just using the coefficient of power term. Okay. So Ct we have already known, right? So already we know that lambda. If we can calculate the lambda I also. It depends upon how we are calculating. Okay. So if you are calculating the lambda I from here, so lambda I will be square root of Ct by 4. So lambda I will be given by 1 by 2 square root of Ct. Okay. So substituting this value in here. So here we are having a power 1. So this is 1 by 2. So we will be having Cpi. So induced power required is 1 by 2, half of the Ct. Okay. So coefficient of thrust, it is required. So when we are calculating to hovering condition, suppose you are taking a rotor, a different type of rotor you are taking. So the rotor will be having a radius, right? So the rotor will be having a radius. So depending on radius, your thrust is there, coefficient of thrust. So depending upon the coefficient of thrust, your power is required. Okay. So depending upon the radius, because area is here, right? So depending upon radius, so your thrust will be defined. So depending upon your thrust, your power required will be calculated. Okay. Right. So there is another term called it is like a performance parameter called figure of merit. Okay. So figure of merit is defined with respect to the power terms itself. Okay. So basically we will be saying figure of it is a ratio between the induced power and total power. So you can see over here, induced power to the total power provides a measure of rotor efficiency. So in order to find the efficiency of the rotor, so we know that when we are calculating efficiency, so we will be calculating with respect to the power input with power output. Okay. So here for identifying the rotor efficiency, right? So we will be calculating with respect to induced power to ratio between induced power and total power. Okay. So in other term, they will be calling it as figure of merit. Okay. So rotor efficiency, measure of rotor efficiency. Otherwise, they will be calling it as figure of merit. Okay. So the induced power is a major part of the total power absorbed by a rotor in the hovering, because the rotor is rotating, right? So when there is a rotational speed is there, so the pressure difference will be generating in the upper surface and the lower surface. So the power is getting induced, the mechanical power is utilized, right? So the total power from the engine, it will be utilized by main rotor. Okay. So in that main rotor, induced power is playing the major role. Okay. So induced power is playing the major role. That's why they have told major part of the total power absorbed by the rotor during hovering. Okay. So during hovering, the induced power is taking much power consumption. Okay. For the rotation, and we have to withstand the weight of the helicopter. Sorry. And we should not move anywhere. Either we should not move forward or backward or even up or down. So the helicopter has to hover. It should be in the same position. It should not move here and there. Okay. So for that particular hovering, we need more power. Okay. right? So a further power component is needed, however, to overcome the aerodynamic drag of the blades. So what is that indicates? Aerodynamic drag of the blade. See, even we have seen the wake analysis, right? I have shown some pictures during wake, how the wake will be there. So I will be drawing that. So let's say if we are having a rotor, so the rotor, the thrust will be upward and the flow, inflow will be like this, right? So you might have seen the vortex formation, right? So the vortex will be forming over here, right? So due to that profile blades profile, right? Suppose the blade is having the profile of airfoil, right? So the airfoil is rotating, right? So not like as a fixed wing aircraft. So it is going to rotate from here and there, right? So like along the rotor disc area, okay? So it is going to be rotating, and we can change the pitch angle and incidence angle we can change, okay? So due to the structure, right? Due to the airfoil structure, so the flow will be getting disturbed, right? As like our aircraft wing. So through the blade, so the skin friction drag will be forming, right? Due to the shape of the airfoil, skin friction drag will be forming, right? So skin friction is one of the aerodynamic drag, or we will be calling it as profile drag also. Profile drag is a summation of form drag and skin friction drag, right? So that type of drag will be applicable in the helicopter rotor blade also. So whenever the rotor is rotating, either during hovering or during takeoff or during descent, the skin friction drag will be existing in the blades. So in order to overcome that skin friction drag, right? So that's why we have used that word overcome. Okay. In order to overcome that particular drag, we need to generate more power, right? So that particular power is named as profile power. So to overcome the profile drag, we need to generate some power, right? So that power is called as profile power, and it is indicated with P suffix P. So whereas induced power is indicated with respect to Pi, so profile power is indicated with respect to P. Okay, right. So the ratio of I have told this before itself. The ratio of induced power to the total power, the measure of rotor efficiency. Right. So here we are giving another statement called the ratio of induced power to the total power provides a measure of rotor efficiency, and this is called as figure of merit. Okay, so I forgot to denote that in the last slide, so that's why I have added this slide again. So it is called the figure of merit. Okay, otherwise. So how it will be done? So figure of merit will be denoted with respect to M. Okay, so again this notation will be varying from book to book and article to article. So wherever you are studying about figure of merit, so it is related with the rotor efficiency, right? So and it will be given with respect to ideal induced power divided by actual induced power. So ideal induced power, it is just Pi. So actual induced power, it will be addition of profile power also. Okay, so that's why M is given with respect to ratio of ideal induced power divided by, so the total power is given with respect to induced power plus profile power. Okay, so total power required for the thrust to produce thrust. So that is given with respect to Ki Pi plus P suffix P. Okay, profile power. So what is this Ki is? It is a constant, and it is given with respect to in order to, we are having a coefficient, right? Coefficient of induced velocity. So in order to maintain the like whenever we are mentioning lambda I, it is directly proportional to Vi. So in order to overcome the lambda I, we will be taking a constant C correspondingly, right? So the constant is given with respect to Ki. Okay, so Ki value will be approximately 1.1. Okay, so it is 1.1 Ki value. So it is called as induced power factor. Okay, so induced power factor, that is Ki. Okay, so there will be a variation in the induced velocity, and that factor is added, need to be added. Okay, so it is applied. So with the helicopter rotor, the downwash and induced velocity has been assumed constant, so the actuator disk provides the ideal solution. See, there will be a downwash effect in an aircraft, right? We have studied about downwash effect in the aircraft after the wing. So when the flow is going to hit the tail section, right? So the angle of attack will be varying. Angle of attack of wing will be different. Angle of attack of tail will be different, right? Due to the downwash effect. So similarly, when there is an induced velocity, so the downwash effect will be below the rotor, right? So what will happen at that time if the rotor is having a downwash effect after that, due to the structure of the helicopter fuselage, right? So it may hit again to the rotor surface, right? So due to the surface of fuselage, if the rotor is rotating and the flow from upper surface, it is getting induced towards the downward surface. So due to the fuselage structure, it may get deflected again back to the rotor blade. Okay, so that's why in order to solve this profile power and other factors, we are just assuming that it will be constant, and so that the actuator disk, so the momentum theory provides the ideal solution. Okay, right. So the fixed wing will also generate a profile drag force due to the skin friction independent of any wing lift. So the same will be applicable for our helicopter rotor also. Okay, so the rotor will also incur a power requirement to overcome the skin friction force on the blades. So the power variation, that is profile power, is given with respect to 1 by 8 rho Vt cube into NCR CD naught. So what is the equation is given as? So we have not derived this, but experimentally this equation has been developed. Okay, so what is power? So power is force by area. Sorry, power is force into velocity. Power is force into velocity, right? So here our force is, here our force is drag. Okay, so that is aerodynamic drag with respect to skin friction. Okay, or we can say profile drag. Okay, so drag will be given with respect to half rho v square s cd, right? So half rho v square s cd, that is our drag. So power will be given with respect to, then power is equal to half rho v square s cd multiplied by velocity, because this is force, this is velocity. Okay, so multiplied by velocity. So when velocity and this is having, we can name it as cube, v cube. Okay, so we can write it as v cube. Okay, so here we are going to see about the profile power only. The power which I have given is just mechanical power. So here we are going to see about the profile power only. So profile power is with respect to the profile drag alone. Okay, that is CD profile. That's why they have taken it as CD naught. Okay, so S is surface area. So surface area of the rotor, right? So let's say surface area of the rotor. If this is the rotor blade, okay, so our rotor is having a radius of R and it is having a chord of C. Okay, so what is the area will be given by chord into R. Okay, radius C into R, the radius of the blade. Okay, so there are n number of blades, that's why we are adding n down. Okay, so there are n number of blades, so that's why the area is given with respect to NCR. So that's why it is mentioned over here, NCR, area. Okay, so again there is a term, it is given as 1 by 8, right? So far we have calculated with respect to 1 by 2 rho v cube, area is NCR, CD naught. So here that thrust velocity is taken with respect to the tip speed, because we are calculating the profile drag of blades only. Okay. So how the 8 came, right? So that has to be defined, how the value of 1 by 8 came. So 1 by 2 is the correct value, right? So this is giving the overall power. So whatever we are calculating, that is giving the overall power, but we want to identify the power of due to the profile drag alone. Due to the profile drag alone. Okay. So experimentally it was found that, so the profile drag will be having the profile power will be 1 by 4th of power. Okay, 1 by 4th of power total. We can say total power. Okay, so that's why the total power is multiplied with 1 by 4, or we can say quarter of power. Total power is used to overcome the aerodynamic drag, that is profile drag, to overcome the profile drag. So when we are multiplying 1 by 4, we will be getting the 1 by 8. Okay, so the power required to overcome the profile drag is 1 by 8 time of rho v t square q cube and area and coefficient of drag. Okay, right. So the coefficient of power, profile power. So here I have given with respect to the profile power itself, right? So when we are speaking about non-dimensionalization, then we have to divide that profile drag by our power, right? So when we are dividing the profile coefficient of profile drag, profile power divided by half rho v t cube into a, so we will be getting cancel all those other factors. So the final equation we are getting is CPP is equal to 1 by 4 NCR by A. A is disk area. Okay, so this is rotor area. So this is disk area. Okay, the circular disk area into the coefficient of drag. Okay. So here we are getting a term called solidity ratio. So we will be calling it as solidity ratio. We are having a solidity ratio sigma r. It is mentioned as sigma r s. Okay, solidity ratio. Okay, so solidity ratio is nothing but the ratio between blade area, that is NCR is blade area, to the disk area. Okay, disk area is A. So NCR by A is called as solidity ratio. So this is also one of the performance parameter. Okay, like how we are saying turn radius, glide radius, right? Glide distance. So like that, this is called a solidity ratio, and it is one of the performance parameter. Okay, so that's what it is mentioned over in the right side of the slide also. So finally, the sigma r s. So some books they will be mentioning it as s. Some book it will be mentioned as sigma. It is given with respect to chord by span. Simply we can say chord by span length. Span length is the radius. Okay. So if you see the wind turbine blade calculations, or wherever the rotary wing calculations, even in your drones. So if you are calculating this type of to identify the propeller efficiency, you have to know the solidity ratio also. So it is nothing but chord by span. Okay. So N and pi will be acting. Simply we can calculate with respect to chord and span. Right. So for what we have calculated, we have to substitute that value in order to get the figure of merit. Okay. So whatever we have calculated in the terms of coefficient, that is non-dimensional number, we have to uh, apply in the equation of figure of merit. So we'll be getting the final value. Okay, for figure of merit. Okay. So based on the figure of merit, the rotor efficiency is there. Okay. So we have to make that the blades should not stall or experience compressibility drag. Okay. So the drag provided by the profile power, right? Profile drag. So it should be as much as less possibility. So we have to design in that such way. So if the profile power drag is increasing, right? So what will happen to the figure of merit? That is M. M is the efficiency. So our rotor efficiency will be down, and of course the thrust will be affected. Okay, so correspondingly the thrust will be affected. So the graphical representation of figure of merit will be given with respect to M, that is figure of merit in the y-axis, and CT, coefficient of thrust, in the x-axis. Okay. So direct comparison between M and CT. Okay. So where K is given, Ki, that is a constant. Okay, we have taken the constant value. Factor, we can say approximate factor. So that is 1.1, and our solidity ratio is 0.1. Okay, so that is taken with respect to the car by span, and profile drag, that is given with respect to 0.011. Okay, so with these factors, if we are varying the coefficient of thrust and we are calculating the figure of merit is nothing but efficiency. So with these factors, if we are having varying the thrust, then the efficiency of the propeller, the rotor efficiency will be good. So it may reach maximum of 0.85. Okay, so finally we can give the statement that whichever rotor system, whichever in drones, in wind turbines. Okay, so wherever the rotor system is having, if it is having a figure of merit above or around 0.75, then we can say it is a good efficient propeller or rotor. Okay, for particular helicopter to provide thrust. Okay, so that's why we have to choose the efficiency, that is the figure of merit around 0.75. Okay, it has to be 0.75. So as I mentioned earlier, the profile drag accounting for about 1/4 of the total rotor power. Okay, so that's why we have used 1/4 of, we have marked as 1/4 of power total. Okay, right. So we may know that note that for helicopter as a whole, some power is also required to drive the tail rotor. Yes. So even though we have calculated the total power, right? So we are transmitting some power to the tail rotor to overcome the transmission losses and to drive auxiliary components. Okay. So apart from tail rotor, to overcome transmission loss, to drive auxiliary, power losses will be there, right? Even though engine is providing power, that power transmission, during transmission, the power loss will be there, right? So as a result, the induced power is in hover amount 60 to 65% of total power. Okay, so only we are utilizing 60 to 65% in the main rotor, 60 to 65%. Okay, so remaining power will be distributed, or either it will be lost. Okay, so nearly 15%, approximately 15 to 20% will be used for tail rotor also. Okay, so remaining will be for losses and to provide power supply to drive auxiliary components. Right. So since we don't have much time, we have only 5 minutes. So I'm not getting into the momentum theory for vertical climb, but I will just give the introduction between the comparison between the hovering and climb. Okay. So in hovering, the left side image is representing the hovering condition. The right side image is representing the climb condition. Okay. So we have already seen the hovering condition. So where the flow will be symmetrical along the central axis. So here the flow will be symmetrical, and here also the flow will be symmetrical. Same will be applicable over for the climb also. Okay, so that then central, the thrust will be acting, right? So and it will be symmetrical here. But in this case, we have taken v is equal to 0. Here during climb, we have to calculate the velocity. V is equal to vc. Okay, so the entering velocity will be calculated as vc. So that is one difference. Okay, So here v is equal to 0, we can, because we are hovering, we are not going up, we will be statically staying in one position. Okay, but here we are climbing, that is we are taking off the helicopter, right? So in that case we have to know the velocity which is entering into the stream tube. So we are considering this as stream tube, this is also as a stream tube. So the velocity which is entering, that is vc, and at the rotor, right? So at the rotor blades, so we will be calculating only induced power in the hovering condition. But here we have to calculate the entering velocity, that is Vc plus Vi. So both are going to play the major role in the climb, during climb. Okay. So the exit also with respect to the Vc itself. So here we have just calculated with exit velocity V2, but here the addition of upper flow, right? That is the velocity of the upper flow has to be added. Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can ask. So I'm giving the option of chat. You can use the chat box. So any doubt you can ask in the chat box. I will take take the momentum theory in the next lecture. Okay. So for vertical climb. So before also I have told we have different type of momentum theory for hovering, vertical climb, forward movement. Okay. Same will be applicable for blade element theory also. So if you have doubt, you can ask. No one is having any doubt. Did you understood the lecture? If you have any doubts, please give. You can ask doubt. Okay. So I hope you are safe in your home. So try not to waste the time. So this is a precious time where you can develop your skills. So I have seen many of you have did a good job by attending the courses in Coursera, and many of you have done projects also, that is appreciable. So try to do something during this time. So this is the time where you can develop your skill. You are in your home, you are almost free, right? So you can spend the time and utilize the time in a greater way. Those who are preparing for gate exam also, self study will be always helpful. So you can learn more things if you are focusing on education rather than entertainment. Don't focus on entertainment like playing PUBG and other games, watching movies, Netflix, right? Don't watch Netflix and that. So instead of that, you can watch today's NASA's launch. Watch full time there. Okay. So with this, we can end the session. I hope there is no queries. So most of you have given that you have understood the lecture. So thank you for that. So if you have any doubt, you can ask at any time. So you can leave the session. It's almost time, 11:45. So in the previous lecture, we have learned about momentum theory for hovering condition, and apart from that, we have also learned about normalization, that is non-dimensionalization, right? So in non-dimensionalization, I hope you remember that lambda I indicates the coefficient of induced velocity. Okay, so that is nothing but coefficient of induced velocity, which is the ratio between induced velocity divided by tip speed ratio. Okay, Vt is rotor tip speed. Okay, so it lambda I indicates that non-dimensional, that is coefficient of induced velocity, that is it is with respect to the velocity of induced velocity divided by tip speed. Okay, rotor tip speed. So with respect to the non-dimensionalization, we have calculated the coefficient of thrust, right? So how much the coefficient of thrust is there, and correspondingly the coefficient of thrust is given as Ct is equal to 4 lambda I square, right? 4 times the square of velocity, induced coefficient velocity. Okay, so the corresponding power is given with respect to half, that is coefficient of thrust into lambda I. Okay, so coefficient of induced power, okay, induced power coefficient, it is given with respect to coefficient of thrust into coefficient of induced velocity. Okay, so when we substitute that, we are getting that Cpi is equal to half Ct power 3 by 2. Okay, so this is what we are getting at the final for coefficient of pressure. So we have seen in the last class all those things we have seen in the last class. That's why I'm not briefing about that. I'm just giving the summary of that what we have learned in the last week. So induced power. So the major part of the induced power, total power absorbed by the rotor, is during the hovering condition, because we want to make the helicopter steady. It should not climb. It should not go down, and it should not move forward or left or right. It has to hover in the particular altitude. Okay. So in that case, there is a profile power is there due to the rotation of the blade. The profile power is generated. So the ratio between the induced power to the total power, right? The ratio between the induced power and the total power is called as measure of rotor efficiency in the hover. That is called as figure of Taylor. My voice is not clear. My voice is not clear. Kindly please ensure. There is a lot of background noise. Okay, kindly hold for 2 minutes, 1 minute. So I will try to switch the place. I will try to switch the place. Kindly. Kindly hold on. Am I audible now? It is clear now? It is clear now? Kindly answer in the chat box. My voice is clear now? Kindly answer to the question. My voice is clear or not? Still you are getting background noise. Okay, can you able to hear now? Can you able to hear? Can you able to hear now properly? So I will start another poll. So those who are Not able to hear. Let me check. Can you able to? So when I start to speak, then that voice won't be available. Can you able to hear? Can you able to hear that properly? Can you able to hear that properly? Kindly answer the question. Can you able to hear that properly? So the ratio of induced power, right? So when I start to speak, that noise won't be available. Kindly ensure that. Okay, right? So we will start the class. Resume the class. So the ratio of induced power to the total power provides a measure of rotor efficiency in the hover condition. So that ratio is called as figure of merit, which we have seen in the last lecture also. So apart from that, the ideal induced power and the actual induced power, right? So the ratio is given. So induced power, we know that Pi and divided by the total profile power, right? So actual induced power is given with respect to a factor of induced power Ki and profile power. Okay. So those we have seen in the last lecture itself. So I'm not going to again into the same thing. So solidity of factor, solidity ratio, right? So we have studied that solidity ratio in the last lecture also. So it is nothing but the ratio of blade area to the disk area. Okay. So ratio of blade area is nothing but if I'm having a blade, rectangular blade, right? Sorry. If I'm having a rectangular blade, right? So the blade is having a ratio of B and C. Okay. So the ratio is called as the ratio is given as blade area to the disk area. So whereas that span length, right? So span length is B and chord is taken as C. Okay. So if you see the blade area, it is given with respect to radius. Okay. So in helicopter rotor, we will be having radius R, right? Instead of span B, they will be using the radius R. So chord is C. So N indicates number of blades we are using. Okay. So N indicates the number of blades which we are using divided by rotor area. Okay. So when we are seeing the top view, right? So the disk area is given as the circular position, right? Where our hub is there. So from hub, the helicopter blades are. Sorry, I cannot even talk. So from the hub, how the rotors are aligned with the particular radius. So that radius is called as disk area. Okay. So based on that, pi r square. So when we are cancelling that r and r, so we will be getting the solidity ratio. It is given with respect to n multiplied by c divided by pi r. So where n is number of blades and c is chord divided by radius of the blade. Okay. So apart from that, we have ended that session with the figure of merit itself. I hope. So few things we have to analyze, that is momentum theory for vertical climb, right? So before entering into the momentum theory for vertical climb, so I need to I ask you to remember once about the momentum theory for hovering condition. Okay. So in the left hand side, I have given the image about how the flow during the hover will be there, and in the right hand side, I have given how the inflow is there during the climb. Okay. So these two conditions we are going to see in this particular lecture, and we will be comparing that. So what was the problem here, Milan? Hello. See, there is no other room is having Wi-Fi apart from the faculty room. If I am leaving the faculty room, the Wi-Fi won't be there, and the internet connection problem will be there. Again, I have to reconnect. Okay. So if you see that in the left image, right? So thrust force is given upward, thrust force is given upward, right? So the inflow is from upside to downside. Okay. So I will be drawing that. Thrust force is upward. You are not clearly audible. I have conducted the poll also. Many people have told that I am clearly audible. I will be conducting again. Kindly respond to the question. Kindly answer the poll. Am I audible or not? Am I audible or not? Please kindly answer to the poll. So let's know that I am audible or not. So momentum theory for vertical climb, right? So that we are going to see in this particular lecture. So kindly answer, am I audible or not? If I am audible, kindly answer. Kindly answer to the poll. See, if I am not speaking, then the background noise will be there, of course. But when I am speaking, I hope there won't be any background noise. Kindly answer to the poll. Kindly answer to the poll. Am I audible or not? 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 Okay. So nearly, I will try to shift the room. But if internet problem is happening, then don't blame me that I didn't take the class. I'm shifting the room. So, am I audible now? Clearly, am I audible now? Can you answer to the poll? Am I audible now or not? Can you answer to the poll? Am I audible or not? Am I audible or not? Kindly answer to the poll. Kindly answer to the poll. Okay. So I will continue with the lecture. Right. So in the hovering condition, we have seen that the thrust force will be acting upward and the inflow will be acting downward. Okay. So you can see this in the left hand side image. So we have considered that in the upward inflow, we have considered that the velocity will be 0, right? And the velocity is induced at the rotors and exit velocity will be V2. Okay. But because the aircraft helicopter is going to stay in the same altitude, it is not going to move up or down, or it is not going to move left or right. Okay. So that's why we have considered that velocity intake is taken as 0 and the velocity induced at the rotor it is calculated. So correspondingly the pressure is infinity. Pressure infinity we have taken as pressure at the entry as well as pressure at the upper of the rotor and pressure at the lower rotor and P infinity again. Okay, exit pressure. Okay, so when we are considering that towards the climb, when the helicopter is climbing, then if we are considering that, so if you see here during the inflow means there is nothing but it is induced flow. So they have given in the shorter form. Inflow is nothing but the induced flow. Okay, right. So VC, that is velocity during climb. Okay, so that is the intake velocity. The rotor intake velocity will be VC. Okay, so that's why at the place of rotor, so this is our rotor location, right? So at that particular place, we have taken VC plus VA. Okay, so V is velocity climb, that is the inlet velocity VC, and VA is the velocity induced in the rotor due to the rotor, because the upper surface of fan, you can take the example of your in your home itself or even cooler, right? So the upper surface of the fan or rotor, right? So the velocity will be different, and the lower surface of the blade, the velocity will be different, velocity of the flow, right? So the same concept will be considered in the both categories, okay, for rotors as well as blades, as well as wherever the location the blade is there, even in wind turbines, okay. So, but in wind turbines it will be from left to right, but in rotors, helicopter rotors and fans, it will be up to down, okay, right? So the velocity of the upper layer will be different and the velocity of in the rotor, right? So that will be calculated with respect to VC plus VA. So the exit velocity will be calculated with the velocity of the inflow from the inlet to the exit velocity, how much goes. Okay. So VC plus VT. Okay. So this is the difference between the condition for hovering and the climb. So where we here will be taking V is equal to 0, and here we will be considering VC. Okay, velocity will be considered. So same here at the rotor VI, here it will be addition of VC. Okay, see here also addition of, let's, if I am taking that V naught, so addition of V naught will be there, but V naught we are considering this 0, which since the helicopter is just hovering over the surface or over in the particular altitude, it is hovering. Okay, so the exit velocity will be given with respect to VC plus V naught. Here also the same, it will be given with respect to V naught plus V2, but the V naught we have taken it as 0. Okay. Right. So let's get into the heading. So correspondingly, if we are implementing that continuity equation, right, and rate of change of momentum, right. So rho A1 VC, that is in this particular area, the area will be here, right, A1. So that is taken as A1. Okay, so rho A1 VC is equal to the section at here. This is section 2. Okay, so we can mark it as section 2, section 1, and section 3. Okay, so in this case, you can calculate that mass flow rate will be equal, right? So rho A1 VC, rho A. Here we are taking area as A. Here we have taken A1 and A2. Okay. So rho A VC plus VA. Our velocity, corresponding velocity is given with respect to VC plus VA. Rho A2, that is exit velocity, right? So it is given with respect to VC plus V2. Okay. So the rate of change of momentum, that is our thrust force, right? So thrust force is equal to mass flow rate into velocity. So corresponding velocity is the outlet velocity we will be taking, that is V2. Okay. So the mass flow rate depending upon the rotor, right? So rho A VC plus VA. So rho A multiplied VC plus VA into V. Okay. So the mass flow rate is due to the rotor formation, right? Rho A VC plus VA multiplied by V2. Okay, that is our exit velocity. So thrust will be given as rho A multiplied by VC plus VA into V2. Whereas in if we calculated in hovering condition, this VC won't be there. Instead of VC, we will be marking 0. So 0 plus VA, it will be VA. Okay. So that's the difference between the thrust during hover and climb. Okay. Right. So thrust force, whatever I have told so far, that is replicated in this slide. For thrust force, it is acting in the central part, right? And the axis, central axis, and if you see the right side and left side, it will be symmetrical. If I'm drawing a straight line along the thrust axis, so the flow will be symmetrical from the left and right. Same will be for pressure distribution, right? So pressure distribution is taken P infinity, P U upper layer, and P L lower layer, and P infinity. Okay, upper surface of the rotor, lower surface of the rotor. So correspondingly, the velocity has also been taken, considered. Okay. Right. So that enters the stream tube with the velocity VC, and then occurs an additional velocity, that is VA, as it passes through the rotor disc. Okay, so I have mentioned that. So it finally forms the wake with the velocity increase of from VC of V. Okay, so that's what I want to tell, that if we are seeing the through smoke visualization, right? So in the beginning of the lecture itself, beginning of this course, particularly in the first lecture or second lecture, I have told you about that, how the wake formation is there during takeoff and during forward flight, during hovering, right? So the same condition will be applicable in during climb also. So the weight will be formed in this lower layer. Okay. So the due to that weight formation, the velocity which is during the exit, right? So it will be getting added with the velocity of climb inlet. Okay. So as momentum changes must be generated, also making the assertion that the rotor is producing the thrust force vertically upward, because climb indicates that the thrust force has to generate vertically upward. Okay. So perpendicular to the rotor disc. Okay. So the air will accelerate towards the rotor disc as it approaches from the upstream direction, and then accelerate from further it moves downstream into the. So there will be acceleration will be there, but there will be more acceleration as it is coming out of the blade. It will be same applicable with our fan. So real life example is in your home itself. So fan is that particular example for this. So previously I have explained this also. So I'm just skipping this slide. So apart from that, applying Bernoulli's law, right? So Bernoulli's equation, if you are applying for above the rotor and below the rotor. Okay. So above the rotor, inlet and here. So section 1 and 2. Section 1 and 2 is taken consideration 1 and 2, right? So if I am calculating that Bernoulli's equation, then P infinity plus half rho Vc square, right? So is equal to P upper. So that is pressure in the upper layer. Okay, so section 2. So pressure in the upper layer. So whereas our velocity is given with respect to Vc plus Vi the whole square. Okay, half rho Vc plus Vi the whole square. So while the same will be taken for section 2 and section 3. So section 3 is the exit, right? Section 2 and section 3. So whereas in the section 2, the lower part will be considered as that pressure P lower. Okay. So pressure at lower plus half rho Vc square plus Vi square, right? The velocity. So at the exit, P infinity again it will be the atmospheric pressure, that is P infinity. So plus half rho Vc plus V2 whole square. Okay. So that is exit velocity. Right. So subtracting the both the equations are substituting the from P infinity if you are calculating, and if you are substituting over here, so we will be getting a final equation of PL minus PU is equal to half rho 2 Vc plus V2 multiplied by V2. Okay. So if you are substituting this, or if you are substituting equation 1 and equation 2, let's take this as equation 1 and equation 2. And substituting, if we are taking P infinity and if we are taking that to other side, and if we are substituting in this equation, right? So finally we will be getting the pressure difference, that is PL minus PU, that is otherwise called as delta P. In some book they will be given as delta P. Okay. So instead of providing that, they will be given like this, delta P at the rotor. Okay. So it depends upon book which you are seeing, and it depends upon the research article which you are calculating. So wherever the rotor is there, if the research is with respect to wind turbine, or if it is with respect to fans, or it is with respect to the rotor system, right? So the pressure difference between the blade upper layer and lower layer, or if it is kept to vertical, the blade is kept vertical instead of horizontal rotor blade, then it will be from left to right or right to left. Okay, it depends upon how the blade is aligned. Okay. So finally, so we are having PL minus PU, that is with respect to half rho 2Vc plus V2 multiplied by V2. So substituting this equation like what we did for hovering condition, right? So the same will be applicable over here also. So thrust is there, right? So we know that pressure difference. Yes, the same equation, right? So pressure thrust is given over here. So correspondingly, the pressure is also found right now. So if we substitute those values in the thrust equation, and we can equate that V2 is equal to 2 VF. Okay. So the same will be done with the vertical, hovering also. So if you see the hovering equations, right? So the same, that is V2 will be given with respect to 2 times VI. Okay, so that indicates that the exit velocity, the stream to the exit velocity will be 2 times the induced velocity. Okay, so induced velocity will be around the rotor. So that will be 2 times the induced velocity. So depending upon this factor, right? So for every rotor system, we can consider when the pilot will also consider like that only. So if he want to, if he is flying and if he want to provide that much thrust, so the exit velocity should be higher. That is 2 times the velocity which is induced in the rotor blade. Okay, so that's what the calculation will be. Okay, so the same will be when we are substituting all those known parameters. So we'll be getting the same equation that V2 is equal to 2VA. So this is the velocity gain relationship in the hover. It is replicated in the climb also. Okay, so substituting that V2 value in our thrust equation, right? So that we can identify how much thrust it will be there, right? So thrust equation, if we are substituting, that is instead of V2, if we are substituting 2VA. So here instead of V2, we are substituting the 2VA value. Okay. So what will happen? So our equation will be like this. Thrust is equal to, sorry. So our equation will be thrust is equal to 2 rho A BC plus BI multiplied by BA. Okay, so our equation will be like this. So if I am substituting instead of V2, okay. So if I take this 2 rho A into the left hand side, right, then I can say 2 rho A, T by 2 rho A. Okay, so that's what given over here. Okay, so when VI is multiplied inside, so VI square we will be getting, and when VI is multiplied inside, VI into VC we will be getting. Okay, right. So in this equation, especially it will be like a quadratic equation. So in this equation, we can identify that T by 2 rho A, right? So T by 2 rho A, which we have already seen as induced velocity during hovering. So for understanding, I am putting that H indicates that hovering. Okay, so in order to avoid confusions between induced velocity during climb and induced velocity during hovering. So I have just indicated that as V naught. Okay. So in some other books they will be mentioning it as VIH. So in order to make the difference, in some books they will be mentioning the climb. In order to ensure that climb velocity, induced velocity, they will be marking it as VI bracket suffix C. Okay. So the notations will be varying with book to book. So kindly read carefully the notations what it is. So here V naught indicates the induced velocity during hovering. So when we calculated the momentum theory for induced velocity, we have got that V naught, that is V naught is given as T by 2 rho A. Okay, so instead of T by 2 rho A, we have substituted V naught, V naught square. Yeah, I will show you the previous covering condition also, so that you can easily remember that. I will share the covering condition file. And give me a second, I'm sharing that. Right. So I hope you can see the slide. This is for hovering condition which we have solved. So here you can see that. Can you able to see the slide? I hope you can see the slide, right? Okay. So the induced is visible for I think yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So in this is for hovering condition. So we have calculated Vi is equal to square root of T by thrust by 2 rho A. Okay. So which we have calculated for hovering condition. So in order to hover that, the velocity at the rotor has to be with respect to square root of thrust generated divided by 2 rho A. Okay, so if the pilot knows the thrust value, what he want to use during hovering, then the induced velocity, right? So to want to hover, the main agenda is to lift the weight, right? So thrust will be equal to weight. Okay, so when the pilot maintains that, he knows that the velocity will be square root of e by root 2a 2 rho a. Okay, so we are applying this in our hovering climb condition also. Okay, so now we will get back to the previous presentation. Right. So that's why this T by 2 rho A is given with respect to V naught square. Okay. So V naught square, it is given as V naught square. So if you are taking V naught square as common from this entire equation, if you are taking V naught as common, right? So we can see that Vi by V naught the whole square, right? So I am taking V naught square as common from this equation. So Vi divided by V naught the whole square. So the V naught will be split over here. That is Vc by V naught multiplied by Vi by V naught. So V naught square by V naught square, it will be given as 1. So 0 by V naught square 0. Okay. So this will be taken as the equation x square, that is ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. Okay, so the solution will be given with respect to x is equal to, so this is the solution, right? So this is taken as quadratic equation and this is the solution. So the solution is taken with respect to x, the solution is taken with respect to x is equal to, the stylus is not working properly, so I'm just using my mouse itself. Try to understand that this is a quadratic equation, right? So x is Vi by V naught, so x square is given. So ax plus bx minus r plus constant. Okay, so equal to 0. Okay, so minus v by 2, right? So our v is Vc by V naught. Okay, so plus square root of 4 plus square root of Vc, right? So our constant is 1, right? So here we have taken our constant is 1, so we have taken as V is Vc by V naught. Okay, so there is a term 4 is given plus it will be given as the constant. Okay, so the term will be taken and the solution will be identified from the previous equation itself. So minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac, that is the term, right? So here we have given minus b, so the constant 4, right? So if we are taking common 4, then it will be given as bc by v naught, 2 v naught the whole square. So I request all of you to solve that once so that you can easily understand that. Right? So the simple quadratic equation minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. Okay, so that equation will be applicable in this also for solving. Okay, so that 2ac will be calculated over here, 2 v naught. So correspondingly it will be done. So if the climb rate is relatively low, right? If you are going for a steady climb and our climb rate, so what is meant by climb rate? The rate of speed, right? So how much altitude we are climbing for particular second, or it will be given like uh, velocity of climb. Okay. So the rate of climb is relatively low. Then instead of having this equation, we will be considering with respect to Euler equation. Okay. So 1 minus Vc by 2 V naught and plus that Fourier transform, Fourier series. So Fourier and Euler series correspondingly we will be taking that. So when we are multiplying 1 by 2 with respect to square and we are having 2 also. So 1 by 4 into 1 by 8 and plus etc. So when the climb rate is very low, okay, so we will be calculating the corresponding Vi by V naught. So why it is important to calculate the Vi by V naught, right? So Vi, that is climb during induced velocity during climb. So V naught is induced velocity during hovering condition, right? So the ratio between induced velocity of climb and the ratio between ratio between the induced velocity during climb and hovering, that is called as coefficient of induced velocity during climb. Okay, so that's why the need of calculating the induced velocity divided by v. Okay, so the power factor. So when we are speaking about power, thrust into velocity, right? Mechanical power. So our thrust force is acting upward. So the total rotation velocity, that is Vc plus Vi. So correspondingly, the thrust into Vc you multiply by thrust into Vi. So this is the power required to climb, right? Thrust into Vc, the power required to climb. So whereas the power is utilized for to induce the rotor. Okay, so power induced in the rotor also that will be taken. So the total pressure, total power, mechanical power is given with respect to written into two terms. That is power required for climb as well as power induced in the rotor. Okay. So from this equation itself, we can otherwise we can say power to thrust ratio. So P by T, power to thrust ratio. Okay. So P by T is given with respect to Vc plus Va. That is the rotor induced velocity. Okay. So that is correspondingly given power to thrust ratio. So the power consumed is now given by the product of thrust and the total velocity through the rotor disc. That is the agenda during the vertical climb. Okay. So the vertical descent is different. I'm just only speaking about the vertical takeoff. Okay. So, corresponding, there are some graphical representation between the Vi and V naught as well as Vc plus V naught. So, Vi by V naught is nothing but induced velocity in the time, and V naught indicates induced velocity during hovering, and Vc is vertical velocity divided by V naught. V naught is our hovering, again hovering induced velocity. So why this graph, the variation of velocity is needed? Okay. So this graphical representation is also taken from the equation which we have just now we have seen. So based on this equation only, the graphical representation is taken into consideration. Okay. So Vi by V naught is equal to 1 minus by V naught. So that factor Vi by V naught and Vc by V naught is taken into consideration. So first order full solution is given, then first order equation is given and second order equation is given. Okay. So when we are calculating the second order equation, the solution, if you see the ratio, so it is dropping and it is like a parabolic equation. Okay. So the maximum range is coming as half 0. That is 1 by 2. So from here we can calculate that Vi is half into V naught, or Vc is correspondingly Vc is twice the V naught. So from this graph we can easily identify if you are following the second order equation, then we can easily identify that the formula which we have derived, right, the calculation which we have done so far, according to that, the induced velocity during climb, it is required, which is half 1 by 2 of induced velocity during hovering. Okay, so the term I am writing from here itself. So Vi by V naught correspondingly equal to 0.5, or we can say 1 by 2. So Vi will be half V naught. Okay, so the velocity for the helicopter, that is, if you are comparing to the climb and hovering condition, right? So the climb is just required half of the velocity in the rotor blade, that is induced in the rotor blade, half of the velocity. So what here we are trying to say is the induced velocity, right? So that the head can move up. In the hovering condition, we are having V naught. So that's what it is indicating V naught. So this is during climb. So that during climb, we only require half of the induced velocity. Okay. So the efficiency will be good. So if you are flying with half of V naught, right? So for hovering condition, we require more induced velocity than during climb. Okay, so that's what it is indicating. So here also the correspondingly the same factor will be indicated with respect to the Vc, that is 2. So Vc by V naught, that is multiplied by 2. That is the correct statement to V naught, right? So only if you are attaining 2 times the velocity of induced, then our helicopter will go up. So if Vc is equal to correspondingly V naught, right, or half of V naught, then the helicopter will be in the hovering condition itself. Okay, so I hope you understood that with respect to this graphical representation also. So similarly, the same factors will be done with various graphical representation. So power to thrust ratio, the variation of power to thrust ratio is given over here. That is Vc plus Vi divided by V naught and Vc by V naught. So corresponding the graphical representation is given. So the final equation of power will required during climb is the total power required is given with respect to power climb and fuel. Okay. So in order to avoid this power thrust ratio, that indicates with respect to Vc plus V. So converting into the coefficient term, that is non-dimensional form. Yes, non-dimensional form, that is coefficient of pressure, coefficient of power multiplied by coefficient of thrust with respect to the velocity. So already we have seen Vi by tip speed. Vi by tip speed is given as lambda I. That is coefficient of induced velocity lambda I. So here we are introducing another term Vc by T. It is given as mu Z. So coefficient of climb velocity. So correspondingly it is taken with respect to the tip speed. Okay. So the final equation will be given Cp by Ct, that is pressure, power to thrust ratio, that is given as mu Z plus lambda. So if you are having any doubt, you can ask. With this we are ending the session. So I am giving the option of audio, so you can speak. So those who are having doubt, you can speak up now. Any doubts? Yes, while calculating the will be constant. Course that density will be constant. Will you extend the date of assignment? Yes, the assignment one date will be extended, and I will be requesting HOD to what will be the final day. So I will fix that, and I will inform in the group itself. Okay. So each one has to submit individual assignment. Plagiarism check will be done, because without plagiarism check, don't copy paste here and there. The assignment has to be given in the same pattern of article only, research article. Okay, so don't copy paste. So the images you are taking from internet, you have to give the proper credit also. Okay. So in tomorrow lecture, I will be explaining about the submission of assignment. So the time is already up. So you guys can, those who are not having doubt, they can leave.